So, welcome, Tatiana. I'm just delighted you're here. Welcome to Boulder County. Welcome to Community Foundation Boulder County. I'm hearing all sorts of excited messages and greetings, and we're just delighted and excited
Thank you.
that you're here.
Thank you so much, Jeff. It's really an honor to be here and to be back in Boulder County, which is just my dream home.
Well, I know what I'm going to be doing on July 6th, but what are you going to be doing?
I think if we were under normal circumstances, I would probably be trying to figure out how to work the copier. Things are a little different, but I imagine I'll be getting to know the staff and getting to know the work still.
Well, I think you're bringing a lot that you already do know, but tell me a little bit about what did draw you to this work, and what you're most looking forward to.
Maybe I can start with what I'm most looking forward to. I think this is an incredible community of people, and I am most looking forward to getting to know all of them. Fundamentally, I'm a deeply curious person. It's been a driving force in my entire life, and that's both curious about people and curious about places, and curious about what the connection and the fabric is of communities. And so number one, I can't wait to get to know everyone. And then that does feed into what drew me to this work. I think you know this, but for all of those who might be watching, I was first-gen American. Both my parents are immigrants, grew up between New York and Miami in predominantly low to moderate income communities. And, thought I was going to spend my life working internationally in finding some opportunity and development, and quickly realized, there's a lot of work to do still in America. And I think we're in a moment right now where that work is even more prescient and even more obvious. So what drew me to the work was really a love of my community and a love of the place that I call home, and the people that surround that, and understanding how we can be better to each other, both as neighbors, but to be deeper woven with each other. And then what brought me to the work in Colorado, I had the just delight to move out here 5 years ago as arts director for Community Foundation, and fell in love with my little house on 9th and North, fell in love with the mountains, and know that this is where I will be building, the rest of my life.
That's wonderful. Well, we have a lot in common, I think, in that way. That's a good statement of what drew me to the work as well. And we also have a lot in common in that we spent a significant part of our vocations having to do with the arts in one way or another. I heard this radio story about what are the 3 most useless degrees to get for gainful employment, and it turns out I have 2 of them, fine arts and theology. I forget what the 3rd one is, but somehow they intertwine together to create a calling for me to, I don't know, maybe make service a work of art, and particularly with those who are most vulnerable.
Well, I love that you mentioned that, Jeff, and those 2 things in particular. A couple of years ago, I got deeply interested in some work that was happening with cognitive science, and these psychologists were coming to find both that the thing that changes the adult brain most rapidly, that changes the connections in an adult brain most rapidly, is the feeling of awe, AWE. And that happens in three areas: the arts, nature, and through spiritual experiences. And so it's wonderful that you hold these degrees in two of those areas, and we live in this place where we get to experience the third almost every day. It's really special.
What a great way to bring all of that together. I love that. Well, Where do you think we are now? I could say, I could tell you a story of when I was driving in to work. I think it might have been on the first day or one of the first days here. A reporter from the Boulder Daily Camera said, "I only have two questions for you. I'm going to write a story. I'll make it quick. How are you going to replace Josie Heath? And what is your vision for this foundation?" And I said, well, I wouldn't presume to replace Josie Heath. I'm just not going to try not to screw it up. And this is not a private foundation, so it's my personal vision. I'm going to be doing a lot of listening to the community, learning, and we'll form that vision together. What I learned over time was that there was a through line of vision that has, I think, really we've come to express it as a vision of equity. And you're all about that. So it's almost like this through line just continues on the road ahead.
Yeah, I think that's certainly we share an approach in our deep interest in listening and our deep interest in bringing people together, in this being about the we, not the I. I think that those are all things that we share. I've quickly learned in this wonderful opportunity to overlap with you. And yes, equity's been core to everything that I've done. And again, it goes back to this question of curiosity. As I try not to make assumptions. I like to ask people questions to know what their perspective is and how together those perspectives create a narrative. So whether it was working with students in South Los Angeles or artists in Detroit, or even the work I've done along the Front Range between Boulder and Denver, to me, there's wisdom in community. There's wisdom in the collective, and this role is really about finding the gravitational center of that wisdom, and bringing people in and through a process.
I love that. I think we're very simpatico there, and I think that really speaks to kind of the way the foundation rolls. Those core values of do nothing about us without us, trust the wisdom and leadership of the people who are living the experience themselves, prioritizing those who are most impacted by inequity, and not being out there on your own, working in partnership and collaboration with folks.
It's critical. It's critical, and it's a role that a community foundation is unique in playing. Because of the very nature of the community foundation. You've got people in all areas of our place who connect through our node. It's exactly why I was drawn to a community foundation. Having worked in the nonprofit sector, having worked in private foundations, I always looked at community foundations like the most critical piece of the puzzle, because they were able to be in conversation with so many people at once, and the true responsibility, the true accountability is always with community.
Yeah, there's nothing quite like a community foundation, and when it comes together, it's a beautiful thing. And it really has come together in Boulder County at some of the most critical times. Like now, yeah. And it really is everyone coming together to rise up and hold the community close and make sure it's going to be okay, not just here, but beyond too.
Well, what do you hope happens from here, Jeff?
Well, I'm really excited about your leadership, because I know that the journey that we begun, that began before me and continues, this journey toward our North Star of equity, is in really good hands. It's a terrific board. It's a terrific staff team. We have wonderful donors and supporters and community partners. And I know they're going to embrace you as they did me, as we continue on this journey together. And I'm just going to be so pleased to watch it unfold. I'm really excited, and I'm going to enjoy seeing how the foundation continues to grow and thrive.
Well, what are you most looking forward to in retirement?
Well, I have a very patient spouse, and she asked a pretty good question, which is along the lines of, you've spent your whole career essentially giving yourself to others. When is it our time? Mm-hmm. And I thought, if we don't have our time intentionally and make time for that in our lives, it might never come around. Mm-hmm. And so I am really looking forward to that, spending time with my spouse and quality time with myself as well. And then, of course, learning again where I will be and looking for opportunities to connect and serve with people.
How's your Spanish?
Well, let me put it this way. While I'm continuing to learn, I was talking to a kid who was about 8. And as I was talking to him, I realized that his Spanish was way, way better than mine, which was a very humbling reflection.
Entonces es bueno que no hicimos esta conversación en español.
There's a lot more for me to learn. I'll never be fluent, but I hope that I'll be more conversant.
Well, I would love to have conversations with you in Spanish when you land in Mexico and continue on your journey of learning.
I'll look forward to that.
Do you have any words of wisdom, any advice?
Well, as I think about my time at the foundation, I don't think about like, wow, it wasn't this great, or I accomplished this. I think about the things that I didn't do, and there's never a shortage of things you didn't do. There's always more to be done, and it's never enough. And I guess my advice would be to take care of yourself. Take care of yourself and your loved ones, because that will help sustain you for the work that you're so committed to.
That's really beautiful advice, and I can tell already that you've taken just incredible care of this staff. I will strive to meet that model, to meet your example in that. I know that they adore you. I know this community adores you. You've done so much for this organization. You've done so much for this community, Jeff. I cannot thank you enough for building an incredible legacy, and I will do my best to build on it.
I think the foundation and the community is in great hands in partnership with you, and I'm really thrilled and excited to see how the future unfolds.
Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you, Tatiana.